This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your host, Brian McMahon. I am the sensei here at Expert Dojo, the fastest growing startup accelerator in Southern California. Now, in the first 2 seasons, we answered your questions about how to find investment for your business. We brought in the most accomplished investors in startup in America. You can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Now, here in season 3, we're flipping the script. We're going to hear real stories from entrepreneurs who are in the trenches today. In these episodes, we're going to take our guests through the storytelling model called the entrepreneur's journey. We'll hear about what sparked their call to entrepreneurship, help they received along the way, forces they overcame, dark times and revelations. So join us every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Start the week a smarter entrepreneur. It's Brian, I'm back, it's 10 o'clock, it's Tuesday. Again, I have another phenomenal entrepreneur who have not only been tremendously successful before, but are on the road to huge success with his latest company, CarmaCam. And today I have Doug in the fridge.
Thanks, Brian. Nice to be here.
Welcome, my friend. We're going to talk about everything from your previous, how it started, where it's going to, where CarmaCam came from, where we're going to take that and why that's the most important thing in the world. But let's take it back to the beginning, when it all started out. What brought you down this road to be a crazy, insane innovator?
Well, I started my first business back in the 1980s, probably 1984, 1985. And I had an idea. I was working in computer-aided design for microelectronics. And I had an idea that software developers could use some computer-aided design as well. So that became...
And this was way before the time that they actually knew they needed it.
It was really early. It
Yeah.
was, I was working for Hughes Aircraft in Malibu at the research labs, and they sent me to a conference in Florida, I think the 7th International Conference on Software Engineering, and there was like one company that was exhibiting their software. It ran on a green screen 640K IBM PC.
Oh my God.
And I decided that, this would work a lot better on a Mac, which had just about come out back then, right? In fact, my first computer, the computer I started that company on, was a Lisa computer, which was the predecessor to the Mac. So we started writing Mac code, me and a couple people that I knew, and I was writing code in my living room. And then about 2 years later, we got bid on a contract for the Common Software Development Environment for the space station. And the team that bid us won, and I got a check for $225,000 while I was sitting in my apartment about 2 blocks from here on 3rd Street. With no actual business yet.
I love it. Now, and you were doing, there's 2 really important aspects to that story. The first thing is you were an entrepreneur, which means that you had a job working for a company, but you had a tremendous talent, which you then used, and you went and started your own companies without forming companies, without having C Corps or LLCs or anything like that. You got a problem which needed a solution, started working on the solution, brought that solution to market. And I love that because not enough people actually even consider entrepreneurship as something they should be doing on a daily basis. So that's number 1, huge tick in the box. And that, by the way, $225,000 back then is a shed load of money, right? That's not $225,000 today, right?
When I was writing code in my living room, yeah, it was a lot. I think, I don't remember, but my salary as a full-time developer for Hughes Aircraft was probably like $35,000 a year.
That's amazing.
Okay.
It's like 10 years salary, right?
Pretty close, yeah.
Maybe $1 million worth today. And then the second thing is, you only get what you go for. So many of us sit back, we'll reach out to our couple of investors to see what will come through. But there's all these other opportunities. There's competition opportunities. There's grant opportunities. Many of them are not even in our own country. It is so easy to get an intern or a helper or an assistant or someone whose only job is looking all over the world for potential opportunities that can drive money into your business. So well done. What a great start. And then what happened after that? So now you got a taste of money. You have it there. You've realized that by innovating and by putting yourself out there into the new and the fresh, that you can actually get a huge financial return from it. What you doing then?
Yeah, so I actually kept that business for 35 years.
Oh my God.
And I traveled all over the world. I've written 7 books on software engineering, learned a lot, got to work with A to Z Fortune 500 companies to see how they do business. And I wound up, just to kind of bring us closer to CarmaCam, I wound up doing some industry mentoring at USC in the Center for Software Engineering down there. And so I was, mentoring a team of students that were building a mobile app that uploaded pictures to a cloud, to the cloud, and let you put hashtags on them. It was like a party photo app.
Of course, it's college.
Yeah, as a student project. But I was working a consulting job at DirecTV down at near LAX to support myself. And so you're in Santa Monica. That was when the California Incline was closed, and I had to take 4th Street to get onto the freeway. Yeah. And that commute is just nasty. Yeah. It especially the Santa Monica Freeway, 405 freeway interchange, the 10-405 interchange. Every day I'm going to work. There's fender benders.
There's hate out there. And like, there's many people around the world, maybe places like London or Paris or thing. And yeah, we all got traffic. Guys and girls, you do not all have traffic. Nobody has traffic like LA. LA is vicious at all times of the day and all times of the night.
And there's certain places in LA that are notorious. And that interchange, the 405 interchange, which I had to go on every day, was one of them. So one day I'm at 4th Street, ready to make a left turn onto the freeway. I'm the first one at the intersection. Arrow goes green. I hit the gas, and some clown from 2 lanes to my right makes a U-turn in front of me. I almost T-boned him. Yeah. And, I'm from New York originally a long time ago, so I swore at him for a couple minutes. Yeah. And then as I was swearing at him, I was thinking, if there was any justice in the world, there'd be a video of that guy that went to his insurance company, and his insurance rates would go up for driving like a jerk, and my insurance rates would go down for reporting him to the insurance company and minimizing their liability.
Yeah, love it.
And so that was like...
Because we've all been there. There's not a single person listening to this podcast who hasn't had some kind of altercation with someone who was doing something they shouldn't have been doing. Texting, maybe impaired, which is a huge area, or just doing something blatantly illegal and just really stupid.
And, the biggest one to me is there a cop around? Oh, no, I'll just go ignore the traffic laws and drive like a jerk, right? Because everybody has experienced that all the time. It's not even necessary, and there's 100 of those or 1,000 of those for every accident.
So was this your aha moment? It sounded like the aha moment was kind of gradual, right?
Well, so this was the kind of like while I was driving to work that morning in between Santa Monica and LA Airport, I realized a couple things. I realized if I built this system, people would probably pay me to subscribe to the database if I did it software as a service, right? Because if I had a database of license plate numbers of chronic bad drivers, that database is worth some money.
Yeah,
right?
And you're talking about a crowdsourced system that allows people to be able to take video of other people with major traffic infringements, and then that video can then be uploaded to databases which can be accessed by insurance companies or maybe attorneys or maybe the actual police themselves.
Yes. So it's basically a dashboard camera app hooked up to a database with a web application that allows us to go in, look at the video, and get the license plate number.
Beautiful. And I'm imagining people are thinking, but surely that exists.
And I've talked to a number of people that have said, I had an idea to build something like that, right? So I had the idea to build something like that. There's another piece of background that I'll throw in here, which is that 5 years before Waze came out, I was driving from Santa Monica to Anaheim to an Angels game. And I checked the traffic before I left, and I decided to take the 105 freeway. And while I was going from Santa Monica to the 105 freeway, there was an accident. And so I was stuck in that traffic jam for like 2 hours. Yeah. And I decided, we need to build a system that routes us around traffic jams in real time when they happen. And so 5 years later, Waze came into existence, and Google bought them for $1 billion, right? Yeah. So in the back of my mind, while I'm thinking about this system, I'm thinking, I should really build this one and not just have the idea and not do it, right? And then I realized almost, pretty much simultaneously with that, I realized like I know how to build this system and I know where I can find grad students that can build it for me. So I decided, like during my half-hour drive to work, I decided that this system needed to be built, that I knew how to build it, that
because we're not just talking about fender benders, sir. We're talking about like people driving in the bus lane, people that you just see while you're driving who are just doing dumb stuff. Like I have been on a road. I've been on the road multiple occasions before that I've seen someone crossing 2 or 3 lanes, not because they're trying to go in, but because they're obviously impaired.
Yeah, I have a nice video of one of those. Yeah,
you do good. Yeah. So this is about all traffic infringements. It really puts the power into the drivers themselves, so they can actually make sure that we're on a place that's safe, because it's not safe.
Yeah, my favorite is just the guy in the BMW or the Porsche or whatever who just cuts you off on the freeway because he's in an expensive car and he thinks he has the right to do that.
Yeah.
And, this happens just all the time. I mean, constantly, right? So I decided that we should build this, that I knew how to get it built, that I knew where to get it staffed, and I could build it without any money up front because I get students to develop this stuff without paying them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then
the students are benefiting because the students are getting to have real life. Because look, college is huge, and there shouldn't even be a but here. One of the challenges, however, is that a lot of kids come out of college without practical applications of what they can do in life, right? Everything is theoretical. So I love the internship principle of college students being able to get real life experience by building something. If it can be something like this, which is important to the world, even better. And for people who are startups and who are looking to get great technologies built, it's a win-win for everybody.
So USC has a master's course called Directed Research. And in the Directed Research class, they have industry mentors that come in and they give the students a real world problem.
Wow.
And so I've worked with like 200 kids in this program over the past 4 years, not just CarmaCam, but a couple other projects as well. So I knew I could get it built. And then in the back of my mind is, and damn it, I shouldn't just have the idea and not build it this time.
Yeah.
Like I kind of did with Waze, right? Because a million people have the idea, but one person builds it and gets it done.
Yes.
So it's like you have to actually have the will to go do it, right? And
you have to have the will. You have to have the will. You have to have the timing, and you have to have the skill sets, right?
Yes, that's correct. And somehow the resources.
Yes.
And those resources may be financial, and they may not. In my case, I didn't have any financial resources to do it, but you
ticked the boxes. You had a different currency, right? And you ticked the box. So resources we got covered. Now all we got to make sure is that all of the skills as far as running a business are covered and that the timing is right. What made you feel that the timing is right in this particular case?
So, the timing's right because no one's done it yet that I know of, right? So that means it's, and the timing is right in terms of the traffic violation problem is getting worse.
And more complicated.
Worse and more complicated with scooters.
Yeah. So those guys, there's some crazy people. Like if we thought it was bad before, like they say on TV, you ain't seen nothing yet, because those scooters are being driven by 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 25-year-old people who have never ridden scooters before. They don't know the difference between a footpath or a sidewalk and the road. They don't know left turns, right turns, arm signals, anything. There's craziness out on the road.
And before that, for the last 10 years, there's this epidemic of texting and driving. Okay?
Yeah, which hasn't changed. I don't think it's changed.
The mobile phone is great, but the mobile phone in terms of traffic safety is disastrous.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm proposing to use your mobile phone to actually improve traffic safety as opposed to worsen traffic safety.
Yeah, I absolutely adore it. Did you have any detractors when you were doing it? Because obviously you have an idea, you're fixing a major problem, you've managed to get the resources to try and fix it, you have people who are helping you, and I want to get to Rob in a couple of minutes, but any really hard pushbacks which was kind of slowing you down on the journey you wanted to go?
I thought the insurance industry would just be all over this idea, and so we joined up with this insurance accelerator in Iowa.
Yeah.
And we did sort of an early pitch to them. I already had the thing mostly up and running already. And they were just really, really concerned about liability. Everybody's just like, oh, if you do this, you're going to get sued. You're going to get sued. You're going to get sued. We don't
Why
touch
would you
it.
get sued?
People have concerns about privacy issue. You know, is that really legal that I can record video on a dashboard camera? Well, yeah, it is. There's dashboard cameras out all over the internet.
You know, like hashtag Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and there's no presumption of privacy in a public place, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the insurance companies were concerned that if they try to raise somebody's rates based on a piece of video, you know, that somebody's getting their rates raised isn't going to like it, right? So there was fear of liability was probably the biggest pushback that we got.
Yeah.
But I want to sort of interject a little bit to when we actually started building it, because we've built this over 4 going on 5 semesters at USC now. And so I started recruiting for it. And the first thing I learned was that my project was really popular with Indian students. And I immediately learned why, because in India, the traffic fatality problem is, I mean, they lead the world. It's just horrific over there. It's just carnage on the roads. And so my first 2 students that signed up were from India. One of them was recovering from an accident she had been in India. And I realized there's like deep motivation for this, right? So we started working on it, and pretty soon we had the dashboard camera up and working. We had the database working, and I wrote an article about it, and I sat down to write the article. I said, well, let me see how bad this traffic problem really is, because I hadn't researched it. So I go on Google and I find out that somebody's getting killed. This is in the US. Somebody's getting killed every 15 minutes. Somebody's getting injured every 15 seconds. And there's $1 trillion a year in property damage. And so when I got that $1 trillion a year number, I thought, yeah, who's on the front lines of that? The insurance companies, right? And, you know, if we could take that liability down a couple of percent, how good would that be? You know, not to mention if instead of, you know, somebody getting killed every 15 minutes, we can drop it to every 20 minutes.
This is great. So you're working out who your demographic is, and then you're also working out who your perfect avatar for who's going to benefit from it most.
Yeah, and it looks like our first customers aren't coming from any of those places.
Yeah.
Because it looks like our first customers are coming from the local bus company. We just finished 3 road tests with LA Metro where they got interested in CarmaCam to help them solve the problem of cars in the bus-only lanes. And it was pretty interesting. The videos are up on YouTube. In fact, if you Google CarmaCam LA Metro road test, you'll find it. And we went out in the supervisor car with LA Metro.
I want to get into the story of, because I think the beautiful thing about the journey of CarmaCam and where it's come to. I want to get into the story of the successes that we've got a little bit further on.
Okay.
Let's just, if I can look, so the tractors at the beginning, I love the fact, because insurance companies are your biggest avatar, right? They just don't know it yet.
I think once we get 1 million videos in the database, they're all going to sign up.
They have to be, right? Yeah. Because you want to do, and actually hospitals are as well, and actually police are as well, and that they will be too. But you always have to go through each layer to see which one is going to be more imminent as far as actually getting traction and getting market validation through those individual people. The other thing that we spoke about a little bit earlier on was timing, right? Now, there was a great talk by a guy called Bill Gross, who's the chap who, legend here in LA, started an incubator called Idea Labs. And he did this huge research throughout all of his companies to see what was the reason for success in his companies over 15, 20 years. And he looked at everything from the investment they got, so higher invested companies versus lower invested companies. He looked at teams and skill sets and processes and everything else. And his conclusion from the entire study is that timing is fundamentally the standalone reason why some companies are successful versus other companies. What I really like about CarmaCam today versus 5, 10, 15 years ago, or even in the future when maybe there's going to be more autonomous vehicles available, is I cannot think of a better timing for a technology like this to come to market. right? So I think you've nailed that whole timing issue really beautifully. But I want to look at the team and how you built the team, because once you work out your timing is okay, you then have to look at your skill sets. So I want to look at who are the supporters who really helped you make sure that you got this to the next level. And I want to look at how you filled the gaps in the team, because obviously on a creative perspective, that's you. Your creative development, finding something intrinsically very complicated and making it very simple, tick, 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 tick. But you need a really strong business development person who's going to be able to make sure you get that product to market. And actually, you need really strong logistical processes built into it as well. So talk to me about the team and talk to me about supporters that helped drive this forward.
So, yeah, the biggest thing, I guess, is, I started realizing that technically there's no reason we can't build this. In fact, we're going to build it. In fact, now we have built it, right? And from a society standpoint, and just from my own personal karma standpoint, this thing is the biggest chance I have to, give something back to the world and save. I think we can save thousands of lives a year with this system. So I have to do it, right?
Yeah.
And in order to do it, it has to get out there at scale, okay? It's fundamentally a crowdsourced approach. So to get people to use it, I need marketing.
Yeah.
I need management. I need money. And I need management that knows how to take a small business, turn it into a big business. Mm-hmm. And, my own history is I had a couple of small businesses that stayed small. Yeah. One of them I had for 35 years. Yeah. But it stayed small. And I realized that if CarmaCam is going to realize its potential and save, 3,000 lives a year, 5,000 lives a year, whatever the potential is, it's got to make money first. And that, because without the money, we can't drive the adoption.
Yeah, I love it. These are huge lessons for everybody here. Keep going.
So I basically connected with Rob Rappaport, who's my CEO. Yeah. And Rob has taken half a dozen businesses from startup phase through.
He's at IPOs, major acquisitions, one of the most respected people here in Santa Monica. Yeah. With companies that have gone through. He knows how to turn a company into $1 billion company.
And he's the guy who introduced us to you. He introduced me to you, right? It's like I'm here because he knows you. Yeah. And so, he knows how to raise money, how to run a funded company, how to build a board, And then the other people are there's two professors at USC that I've been working a lot with. One is the founder of the Center for Software Engineering, who is, I think of him like Einstein. He's 83 years old, still teaching. He was chief scientist of TRW when I graduated and started working there in like 1980, and then went and ran DARPA. He was running DARPA when the ARPANET became the internet.
It's good to have a DARPA guy around you.
So he's been behind us from day one, and then he introduced us to another very, very senior faculty member who's actually the director of transportation systems engineering at USC. Yeah, beautiful. And from that contact, that led us to talking to LA Metro, which...
Yeah, so very powerful. So you've built this whole team. You've built the timing. You've built the product. What I really respect is, and there's not that many podcasts I get like this, where the first thing in your mind is not about raising investment. The first thing in your mind is about building a great product and getting it market validated and getting it out to market and doing it the best way you can. And I want to before we get to the point where you've had such great success with LA Metro and the other areas as well, I do want to focus on maybe some of the tough periods that you've had in between the idea of taking it off, whether it's lack of belief from other people or other areas. And I especially want to do that in the context of what you just said about something that I think we don't talk about much as entrepreneurs, which is that there's very few of us who do what we do to make $1 billion company. We would like, if it can become $1 billion company or $100 million company or a $50 million company, like it's better than being poor. And you have to have a traction or a roadmap to get you there. But you're building legacy. You're saving people's lives, and that's the reason why you're building this company. So it becomes, I think, when you get that deep as an entrepreneur, which many of us do, it becomes really personal. Like those phrases of "it's not personal." Well, actually, it really is personal. So I want to take that context and just look at maybe some of the more difficult times where you've looked at this and thought to yourself, "Shoot, I mean, what the hell am I doing?"
Well, yeah, I mean, I ran out of money about a year and a half ago. I had, I tend to work consulting contracts to pay my rent and stuff like that while I'm doing the other stuff that I'm really interested in, right? I mean, I'm interested in the consulting contracts too, but, while I'm doing my projects, I work consulting. Well, I had a consulting contract that ended abruptly. I had just bought a condo with the nice money I was making from the consulting contract. And then it took me almost a year to find a new contract for some bizarre reason. And while that happened, my homeowners association hit me with an $18,000 special assessment right when I had no income for 6 months.
Give me a break.
And my whole family is like, what the hell are you doing? You're going down to USC, you're teaching for free, you're not getting paid. Why aren't you out, spending 148 hours a week looking for consulting work, right? And I'm like, no, I kind of have to do this, So I really my son doesn't really talk to me now, but did I doubt in myself? No, I'm too pig-headed, I'm like, they just don't understand. I have to do this.
Yeah, but they will. The thing is, and I think that's, again, it's a part of entrepreneurship that is not really that spoken about, is it's a really lonely, difficult journey for all of us, because who understands this? Who understands the majority of people will do what they do and work in a job and get to the end. They take care of their family, they take care of their job, they take care of their house, and they're relatively happy. They've ticked a few boxes. And then there's a few of us. I started this meeting by saying, this talk, by saying, what made you become this insanely creative, brilliant entrepreneur? Because the road we go down is this really lonely road until we get that piece of validation, until that moment comes where people say, what did he create? He just saved 15 seconds, he saved a life. 15 seconds ago, he saved another life. So I think it's really beautiful. And it takes us to, sorry, did you want to add something onto that?
Well, it's a roller coaster. I started my first business. I was young. I had decided I wanted to make $1 million by the time I turned 30.
Yeah.
So the year I was 31, Iconics, which was my first company, did 1.1 million in sales. We grew at least 20% a year for 3-4 years. Then this is back when, after Reagan left office.
Right. Yeah.
So 3 things happened to my business. The Berlin Wall came down, there went the defense budget. The space shuttle blew up, there went the aerospace budget. And then I was doing my stuff on Apple, and Microsoft came out with Windows 3, and there went the Mac market, right?
Yeah.
So my business just cratered. And I went through a personal bankruptcy. I kept the company, and then I rebuilt it instead of a product company to do training. And then I had the company for 20 years, 25 years after that, right? So you have to be prepared for the roller coaster. You have to be able to sleep at night, knowing I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent next month, but I'll figure something out, and so you just have to, it's a gut check. You have to be prepared for it. So with this one,
we're there now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it happened again, I'm like, yeah, okay, I've been here before,
But now we're at the other side. So you have the product, you've built the product. You have someone like Rob who comes in and says, I'm prepared to bet my chips on you. Obviously, Rob came to us, and I adored this product from the first moment that I saw it. I see the potential of what it can actually create. We have an investor who's extremely close to driving it forward, but you didn't even need the investor because you went directly to the local markets. I spoke to the Santa Monica city. They love the product already, and they're setting up meetings for you. And then you went direct down to downtown LA, down to the bus folks down there. I actually think Santa Monica spoke to the LA bus guy and referred down. He contacted them bizarrely because of the conversations that we'd had with Santa Monica. And anyway,
that one went through the professor at USC. He introduced us to LA.
Yeah, a subsequent one that Rob mentioned last week or the week before. But so talk to me about now all of these different areas and cities that are looking to take up the product, and they're saying, no, this is not something which is just an idea. This is an idea that's time has come.
Yeah. So when you talk about how do you get the thing started, well, investment is one path, but bootstrapping is another path.
Yeah.
Okay. My other businesses that I started before were both bootstrapped, right? The one I told you about, the $225,000 check, that was a sale for software that I hadn't quite finished yet.
Yeah.
So, you can, if you find customers, you can bootstrap it, and that's great. And then, once it's making money, sometimes it's easier to get investment. So we're doing this as software as a service.
Beautiful.
And we just did 3 road tests with LA Metro. And what we learned is that on the 720 bus line, when we went in the supervisor car, we got a violation every 3 minutes on average during the 3 road tests. So essentially, there's all these signs. I believe they spent $35 million on putting this bus lane in place. It's completely ignored, okay? There's food trucks, there's delivery trucks, there's Uber drivers, there's just parked cars, right? It's like you just drive down and we're just hitting upload on the mobile app.
Wow.
And,
And they're loving it, right?
Yeah, they're like, this is why we brought you guys in to do this, right? So we did a no-cost proof of concept with them, which we finished a couple weeks ago, and we're about to move on as far as, what we know, to a funded pilot project.
Oh, it feels good, right?
And yeah. So we're about to have revenue from clients. And if you think about it, I think I sent you an email about this last night. What we did with LA Metro is no different than Rita, the meter maid, going out in the little golf cart issuing parking tickets for expired meters.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, it's pretty easy to imagine Rita in the golf cart with a CarmaCam phone, just drives past the car parked. The meters all have these red flashing lights when they're expired, right?
Yeah.
And when we upload the video, it's time stamped and location stamped. So there's no that wasn't there at that time, right? So we can upload a video of a car parked at a parking meter with the red light blinking at the location in the report, down to a few meters with GPS, right? And we can pretty much automate the process of generating a parking ticket from that report.
I want it to be, my personal one is I want the homeless in this. I want to try and get someone like the folks who are able to do good and are down on their luck to be able to have mobile CarmaCams where they can look at traffic infringements and they can have a revenue share, especially in the scooter space where we know the biggest infringements are right now, and maybe the most danger is right now to the scooter folks themselves, and to be able to actually get involved in the process as well. I mean, this can go on a level of doing good. This can go anywhere, right?
Yeah, and just from a revenue standpoint, we think we can have like every city that issues parking tickets could use our system right now, and pay us a monthly service fee. Yeah. So, and again, to come back to why am I doing this? I'm doing it not to make money, although I'm happy that I believe it will make a lot of money. I'm doing it to save lives, and it has to make money so we can get it out there to the market and get it crowdsourced and adopted to save lives. So the making money is not an option. It's not optional, right? We have to make money with it. So I look at the parking stuff as a
ancillary, right? On some levels.
Well, it's the engine that's going to fund the traffic safety stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And then for the traffic safety stuff, we're working on a couple pretty cool things.
I like that, actually, the engine that's going to fund the traffic safety. So what's actually going to help funding saving lives is the fact that we get a couple of tickets from people who should have known what they were doing in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, from the investor point of view, the investor wants to make money, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to make money with it doing parking stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And we may still make money with it doing traffic safety stuff too, but I think, the parking stuff is just a cash cow sitting there. But the traffic safety stuff is what motivates me and why, we're doing this. So a couple things.
And by the way, I believe in time, the traffic safety will be as big a money earner, if not more, than the other, because the information that the insurance companies are going to get. The thing is this, right? If I go back to my insurance company and they say to me, Brian, you know what? We've decided your premium this year is $250 rather than $175. I can say to them as much as I want. Can you tell me the reasoning behind that? They don't have to tell me. My cost is my cost. They've done an analysis of what a risk that I am, and they've given me the cost that they want to give me. So the data is king in your particular case.
Yeah, the database is the whole thing. And we actually want the insurance companies to drive the crowdsourced adoption, because we want the insurance companies to give CarmaCam discounts, maybe even give a free phone, right?
Yeah.
To their customers that are willing to upload videos and participate in this crowdsource system. And we built into it a reward system where if you upload a video and it survives our review process, because we do crowdsourced reviews in addition to crowdsourced data collection.
Yeah.
So if your video survives the crowdsourced review and actually gets put in the database, we give you reward points for that.
Beautiful.
And we tell the insurance companies how many karma points you've earned. Right.
I love that. So and I'm guessing the blockchain will be involved in this at some stage in the future, so you can have a proper tracking of all of this.
Might use blockchain. I hadn't really, it's not in the design right now. I don't think it's necessary, but there may be some cool applications of it. We just track it as, attributes of your account, basically.
Yeah,
your
I agree.
Keep it simple. Karma points in it.
Keep it simple for the moment, and then in the future, especially as the algorithms get more and more and more complicated because there are more people engaging with it, it can go anywhere, right?
Yeah. Rather than blockchain, the technology that we're really working on hard right now is machine learning. And
how would that work?
Well, so the way I originally spec'd this thing was that one person uploads the video, files a report, and then 3 random people have to bless it, basically say, yeah, that's bad driving, right?
Yeah.
We realized pretty quick that when we get this thing to where we're uploading 500,000 videos a week or whatever the number may be, we're going to have a hard time finding enough reviewers.
Yeah.
So what we're doing with machine learning is we're pre-screening the videos to see if the video actually matches the report. So I got 15 kids right now building OpenCV, TensorFlow, video classifiers, and a pipeline that hooks our database up to these machine learning algorithms. And basically, when the video gets uploaded, we compare the report to what the computer thinks is in the video, and then we prioritize the review process so that the reviewers are looking at pre-screened videos that are high probability of actually being what they say they are. And then the other thing we're doing with machine learning is we built a emergency reporting system for the DUIs and the hit and runs. Hit and runs are another problem that nobody really talks much about, but that's an epidemic problem right now. We built a tool that basically does direct broadcast to a separate receiver app, which can be in a police car. So we designed this app for use in a highway patrol squad car. That app listens to the emergency part of our database and does a spatial query, and it pulls down videos that happen within a mile or 5 miles of where that car is sitting.
Wow.
Okay. So somebody compared it to LoJack, right? LoJack beeps when the stolen car is in the neighborhood of the police car. That's essentially what we built.
Yeah.
But before we can broadcast these videos out to patrol cars, we got to be able to pre-screen the videos because we can't spam the cops in the patrol cars.
No, I got you.
Can't do it.
I got you. So you got to use machine learning for that. It makes sense.
Yeah, and so we're looking at, does the video have a car that makes multiple lane changes at high speed? Okay, we can detect that with machine learning, or we think we'll be able to detect that with machine learning.
Yeah.
And if it does, then we'll direct broadcast that video. Otherwise, we'll route it to dispatch.
Okay, so I want to finish up with, it's been great so far, by the way. Thank you so much. We've learned everything about CarmaCam. We've seen why it's a great investment company. Okay, again, Hey, Doug, thanks ever so much for everything that you've shared with us so far. We've seen how CarmaCam has grown from being just an idea in your mind to now becoming this amazing software that's actually being used on our streets. And we can see from an investor perspective what a phenomenal opportunity it is. I want to finish up with just a couple of things. Number one, maybe just how would you surmise CarmaCam as an entire model in like 5 seconds? Number two, I want you to share with us a little bit about how people can find these great students. I love the way you found them through paying it forward to the college, but how can anybody else out there actually copy what you've done and actually take great students to help them build really big products? And finish up with your details, both the spelling of CarmaCam, how they can find you online, and your email address.
Okay, so the 5-second summary of CarmaCam, you can think of it as there's never a cop around when you need one, which is something that cab driver that I told about this app on the way to the airport last year suggested to me. Cab driver was grousing about, somebody cut her off on the freeway, and it's like, yeah. So the website, let me do that one first.
There's never a cop around when you need. It's too long a domain.
There's never a cop when you need one.com. Yeah, we don't have that. So the website is CarmaCam.com, spelled CarmaCam.com. And it has the hyphen in it because we don't have investor money to buy the domain name from whoever's squatting on it right now yet. But
we will.
Yeah, we'll get that done. My email is doug@CarmaCam.com.
And is that Doug at Karma-Cam?
Yeah, Doug, DOUG at CARMA-CAM.com.
Perfect.
And Rob is Rob at CarmaCam.com, by the way, if you want to talk to my CEO.
Lovely.
As to how I got the students, I'm kind of doing research on how to massively deploy large teams of parallel developers. And the professor I'm working with has a common interest in that. We're writing a book on it. And he has a laboratory that they get a couple hundred people every semester to sign up. I'm not going to hand out the details of how you get those students. Sorry.
No, but I think I think
that's
really,
how I did it.
In summary, what you're saying, what I've heard from you so far, because I just really like the idea. Like, as an entrepreneur, it speaks to the greatness in entrepreneurship and actually making it happen by working with partners in colleges to actually get a product built, as opposed to spending a year waiting to raise the money so you can get a product built. And I love the way you went to the colleges. You offered your services over many years to actually help educate the kids on what they need to know to go forward after college. And then built within that, most colleges have got programs that actually those kids are very happy to get practical experience within the real world, right? So for anybody anywhere, look, whether you're in Germany, and while we're waiting for this to be built, which I think would be a huge resource, but whether you're in Germany or Lithuania or anywhere else, I promise you guys, you've all got colleges which are close to you. All of those colleges are looking for practical experience. Get yourself involved in a pay-it-forward type way within those colleges and let them see you and understand what your product is. And if there's a good fit between what the kids are trying to learn and between what you actually are building, then there's a possibility. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, USC has a big program that got over 1,000 grad students in computer science, so it's a rich resource, has been for me. But there's lots of colleges, lots of computer science departments, lots of people computer science faculty, and most of them, I think, like to get some real world experience for the students.
I love it. Okay, mate. Listen, Doug, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I love what CarmaCam are going to do in the world. I love the reason why you're building CarmaCam. I especially love the way that you've managed to implement this, get market validation, get traction, find your perfect avatar, build your entire brand around that, and do it without having to go out there and beg for investment yet. Now the time when you are looking for investment, as I said, you're in a super position to be able to do it with investors already lined up. Thank you, my friend, for being on the show.
Thank you. Let's save some lives.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2, but make sure you join us every single week.